Elissa Slotkin just dismantled Trump's VA chief, calling out sloppy firings, broken promises, and a total disregard for America's veterans. This wasn't a hearing. It was a takedown.
Secretary Collins, during your confirmation hearing, you assured me and the others here that, quote, the mission is the veteran, and, quote, that you would not sacrifice the veteran. I took you at your word, as did many on this side of the dais. But since you've taken office, you've heard it, you moved to terminate VA contracts, offered to buy out VA employees that were in already shortage situations in those career fields. You placed a hiring freeze on critical VA employees serving veterans. 2,400 recent VA hires were let go, and then I think because of the courts brought back. You've been here today doubling and tripling down on that. I have no problem with cutting fat in the VA. I worked at the Defense Department. If someone had said to me, cut fat, I know exactly where I'd cut. But it's the nature of the cuts. If you're firing someone on a Friday and they're being brought back on a Monday, no CEO in America would be lauded for that kind of sloppy cuts. And then when you came to Michigan, you came to Howell, Michigan, I think in the last month and a half, you were asked directly about the potential for 80,000 additional employees to be cut. And instead of pushing back, you just said, quote, there's going to be a lot of friction. And I understand that you're wordsmithing things to say that no nurses or doctors in the VA facilities are going to be touched. That is good, but I held a roundtable with veterans. These are folks who are in the business, and their concern was that if you are a veteran and you walk into a VA, in Iron Mountain, and you need to get a claim, you put in a claim to get a knee surgery, and there's no claim caseworkers, there's no people working on those claims, and it takes you 2 years to get an answer, that's also not access to care. The doctors and nurses may be there, but if you can't go in and you're in pain every single day, that is also a problem. It's a problem for veteran center staff who have not been excluded, primary care administrators, IT staff. I know it's wonky, but you've just accelerated the electronic health record transition. I think IT staff are important if we're going to make sure we don't lose records of our veterans. And then benefit claims administrators. These are all people who kind of don't meet your criteria to be saved. We all want to serve the mission of the veterans, but what was really strange was that we had the deputy chief medical officer up here for a hearing, and we said, what's the plan on cutting, this potentially 80,000? Have you been consulted? And they said very clearly no. So I'm having a problem understanding how I'm to believe that the veterans in Michigan are going to get the same or better care, which is what we want, when you seem to be sort of, I don't know, you're claiming that these 80,000 are like DEI and interior designers. There's no way that all those 80,000 are in those job fields. So help me understand how you're going to preserve that veteran who needs this knee surgery, but there's no one to process his claim.
Thank you, Senator. I think there's a lot to unpack there, and yes, the mission is the veteran. And I think I want to go back to one of the statements you made earlier. If you said DOD, you worked in DOD, you could go in and find it. If I would just happen to turn the table and say, if you came to work at VA, you'd probably be able to do the same thing.
I don't have a question with that.
So I think that's.
But 80,000 is different than cutting. I mean, and I think again, any CEO in America who fires people on a Friday and rehires them with back pay a week later would be fired from their job. It's sloppy, and you know it.
I think I'll disagree with the judge's decision there and continue the appeals process on that. So, I mean, look at it from that perspective as we go forward. But also, again, when you look at these issues and you look forward, I mean, it's interesting to me. I would just be curious, and I'm just playing the scenario out. If you go into DOD, it's 20,000 a proper number, is 50,000 a proper number, is 10,000 a proper number. At the VA, we exempted over 300,000 positions to ensure patient care, patient quality, and disability benefits were being done.
So how come there were people fired and then rehired from the Veteran Suicide Hotline? Like, you've acknowledged, I think, even publicly, that some of these things were a mistake. It doesn't give us confidence that an 80,000 number, which is just a number, you didn't say career fields, you didn't say whatever, you just said 80,000, that's being done with a scalpel and not a sledgehammer. And I think for veteran care, again, it's not me that's the only one asking these questions. It's veterans who have a very different political view than me, who are getting seriously agitated back home. So I just don't understand the logic behind a across-the-board haircut.
Well, I think the biggest thing is what you're looking at here is, I think right now there's been, because that's what I've had to fight for the whole time, is to fight this idea of just being blanket numbers, throw out, playing Trivial Pursuit with numbers and others.
Right.
It has scared veterans. So honestly, what are they going to hear? If all they hear from people is, if you cut this, then it's going to actually impact my health care, then what are they actually going to think? Because one, they've not seen a plan. You've not seen a plan, because we're still working a plan. I'm not going to play out a plan in public that would actually take employees. You wouldn't do it in your own office.
And I know I'm over, but it is playing out in
this is the
public
goal.
because you have fired people and then they have been rehired. That's not a secret plan. People in my district, Marines, veterans, have been fired
Yes.
from their VA jobs and then brought back. So it's not that there's some sneaky plan. You're in it. You're living it, and you're living the sloppiness of it. So I'm sorry, I know my time's over, but I can't agree that the 80,000 is going to be a nice trim scalpel approach.
We'll just have to agree to disagree, Senator.
Senator Banks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Collins, the president's budget calls for a nearly $5 billion increase for the VA.
Elissa Slotkin's exchange with Secretary Doug Collins wasn't just another Capitol Hill flare-up. It was a masterclass in real oversight when leaders forget who they serve. She walked in with facts, frustration, and most importantly, a clear understanding of how government works when people, not politics, come first. Slotkin reminded everyone that supporting veterans isn't about slogans. It's about systems that work, deliver care, and honor sacrifice instead of smothering it in red tape. She translated the chaos into human terms. Veterans waiting months for appointments, widows stuck paying hundreds out of pocket when coverage vanishes, and service members trapped in paperwork while they suffer. That's the cost of sloppy management. No CEO would survive firing workers on Friday and rehiring them on Monday with back pay. That's not reform. It's dysfunction in a suit. Yet Collins and Trump-aligned bureaucrats preach efficiency while gutting the very workforce that makes efficiency possible. Fire 2,400 VA employees, then quietly reinstate them after the courts step in? That's not cutting waste. It's creating it, demoralizing public servants, disrupting care, and eroding trust in the institution built to serve those who gave everything. Slotkin's outrage wasn't theater. As someone who's worked inside the national security system, she knows what happens when careless leaders treat government like a PR stunt instead of a public mission. The hypocrisy is stark. The same crowd that wraps itself in the flag is stripping the infrastructure that supports troops when they come home. Caseworkers, technicians, mental health counselors, claims processors, these aren't faceless bureaucrats. They're the backbone of how we honor service. Cut them, and you cut veterans off from care. What Slotkin demanded was rare competence, not ideology, not spin, competence. Patriotism isn't slashing agencies for headlines. It's building institutions that work, especially for those who've paid the highest price. If veterans can't rely on the VA, what does that say about the rest of us? If a nation won't care for its defenders, what moral claim does it have to leadership? Slotkin showed why accountability isn't an attack, it's respect. This hearing is a test of what kind of country we want to be. One that keeps its promises, or one that breaks them for convenience. If you believe veterans deserve more than chaos, if you believe public service should mean something, like, share, and subscribe. Voices like Elissa Slotkin's, sharp, informed, unflinching, need to be amplified. The people in power may forget who they serve. Together, we can remind them.